So, here we are on take two once again. I made a mistake where, I had left my associate's microphone low slightly after I had started the podcast, so nobody was going to be able to hear their dialogue. So I apologize about that.
Yeah, it's all good.
hmm So, I don't know how young you were when you had first heard about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because you kind of had to have come in like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and plus, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been popular enough and able to thrive in so many different ways. I'm fairly sure saying that you grew up on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can be true for multiple different kinds of generations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I just want to ask, where do you think you did come in? Did you see one of the movies first? Did you see um, the rebooted second series from 2003?
I believe it might have been some of the reboot stuff, or maybe or something around there. Like when I was a kid, I remember that it was when the Pokemon anime was pretty much first starting out.
Mm-hmm.
But still, yeah, I think it was sometime around there when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much when I was getting into superhero pose and stuff like that.
So, when I was probably I would have to have been about like 7 or 8 years old in 1987 when the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. See the syndicated miniseries, followed by the syndicated series. Buying the action figures and the T-shirts and the cups and the cookies and everything else that came out.
Is this the turtle boom of '87?
This is the Turtle Boomer of '87, speaking to you right now on this podcast.
Yeah, 2 puns in one.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and let's hit the music.
All right.
Meow. This fearless caddis is the raddest, has skills of the baddest, magic, slinging busting for status, practically unmatched, runs all of the gamut, in fact, he's a reference games and chatting, bent wizardly hatting, questing, snacking, napping, this cat diversified, witty banter, seeking kitty answers, roll 20 to scamper, tune in, and enjoy the ride, Brady, the RPG cat. Brady, the RPG cat.
Hello, cats and kittens, felines and felidae, humans and variant humans, and every race, class, and subclass. I am Brady the RPG Cat. Welcome to another episode of my stream. Today we're going to be...
I am the ever-assistant apprentice of Brainy, Cube.
Yes, Cube, here with episode 3 of our latest formatted podcast, TTRPG and Sometimes Why. So, today's episode is dedicated to something positive. I believe that we've spent the last couple of episodes pretty soundly beating upon...
Yeah, we've been a little bit more in the negatives recently, so we're gonna lift it up a bit with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strays Just Role-Playing Game has returned.
Oh, yes, so this is something that I hope to do a lot more in the future. I do want to spend some time a little bit away from D&D, run by Wizards of the Coast, a subsidiary of Hasbro, and talk about, some other long-run formatted tabletop RPGs. and this is something that I'm going to be hoping to do a lot in the immediate future. So we're gonna start off
Yep,
with some.
yep, all sorts of different kinds of people are taking their opportunity to make their own system. And maybe we might run into yours one day. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so this is the official press release. Is that okay? I have to give a little bit of a history here. Okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as an RPG system actually started out in 1985, which is a full 2 years before its very large popularity burst in around 1987.
And
Um,
that was just about 40 years ago.
hmm It was a long time ago. So the way that Palladium continued to expand the RPG book, they expanded it in regard to what the original comic books looked like. You know, creating just another arm of the TMNT mythos that some people don't actually know about.
Yes, sir, Brady.
So you know, this module is, of course, is created by Palladium Games, who later
Yes, their
branched out from
Patreon
this.
or Kickstarter for this had recently closed, meeting their goal, I believe.
hmm And so Palladium Games had used this to, be the backbone of their entire system of books, including the Rifts engine, which is Palladium's universal RPG system, and also the Hero system, which is also published by Palladium, which focused on the creation of superheroes. You know, it all happened just thanks to this small partnership between them and Kevin Eastman, the co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yep, and such a legacy will probably live on for many decades more.
Mm-hmm. So, let's go ahead and let's read this article, dated October 13th, 2023. Palladium Books and Paramount Consumer Products have joined forces to reissue the ever-popular role-playing game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. And, Paramount Consumer Products, of course, being Viacom, they're the current IP holders for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The beloved, out-of-print Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles role-playing game and its source books are sought-after collector's items that have enthralled generations since its release in 1985 as one of the first licensed TMNT products. They are returning to print as 2 deluxe hardcover collections of the RPG and source books. Each is being completely remastered by industry veterans Shano and Robertson and presented in full color, and Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, will also provide a new painted cover. Bonus material includes an array of new artwork, never before seen behind-the-scenes info and art, plus remembrances and tributes by renowned comic book and RPG creators including Eastman, Peter Laird, Freddie Williams II, Stephen Cummings, Sophie Campbell, David Peterson, and many more. This is incredibly exciting. I'm 1000% on board to help bring this historic and original TMNT role-playing game series back in a truly deluxe collector's edition that will thrill original fans and open the door for new ones, said Eastman. I've made all my archives available for expanded behind-the-scenes content as well as a few top-secret surprises you need to be a part of, so stay tuned. The Kickstarter campaign, launching October 31st, 2023, will offer a host of mind-blowing Kickstarter exclusives, TMNT miniatures based on a role-playing game, dice sets, variant book covers, art prints by legendary TMNT creatives, a card deck, and more, including special stretch goals to entice role-playing fans and TMNT fans alike. I'll proud ship in 2024 to be among the first to hear about the entire exciting slate of releases, creators exclusives, and stretch goals to be unlocked with your support. Be sure to go to the Kickstarter page and subscribe for updates. Palladium Books was established in 1981 by visionary game designer Kevin Symbiata, renowned for his world building. Together, he and Eric Wujek created one of the best-selling and most beloved RPGs of all time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. Other popular Palladium RPG titles over the years include Rifts, Robotech, Heroes Unlimited, Ninjas and Superstars, Palladium Fantasy RPG, Nightbane, and Dead Rain, among and many others. So, this was the completed Kickstarter. I did manage to get
successful.
I managed to get into on probably one of the lower tiers on this one. So I believe, is that I was just on that basic tier for $50 that allows you to get a copy of the book delivered to your mail. So that $50 with shipping. So they had also given a basic variant cover, a Ninja Warrior core cover, an old school fan black, white, and red core cover, Mutanimal Warrior cover, core retailer cover, discounted set for retailers, 3 copies each, foil covers. I mean, $150 for 3 copies of a game book is actually really good. Then the additional stretch goals included something in the neighborhood of creating some interior comic pages by Kevin Eastman. Also, those are images of the variant covers. This is just something from Kevin Eastman's sketchbook. Green foil stamped cover editions. Red, white, and green, just like the current running TMNT series. TMNT Red, White, and Green. Black, White, and Green. Black, White, and Green, that's what it's called. TMNT Black, White, and Green. Die sets, including an all-metal shredder set. Dice trays. And then miniature sets. Just concept miniatures of Casey Jones and then some of the unique animals that appear exclusively in the RPG. So, this was no doubt a very successful Kickstarter. I believe that, let me see,
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, $1,277,496, which I believe is triple the original asking price. All stretch goals unlocked.
Yes, indeed. Shows that no matter what kind of generation you're from, you probably remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fondly.
Mm-hmm. And, those of us, especially old fogies, are out there, hoping to get another stab at the original Palladium RPG.
Yeah. Okay, Grandpa, put down the knife and let's get you into bed.
It's good. There is no trash can. Okay, so I sent QB out to, read a little bit about this before we got on stream. And so I just want to know, just anything that you had learned about the system once you had read it, and if there was anything that got your interest when it came to it.
Well, what I see about it is that it's a very interesting combination of the TMNT and with the Fallout game franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty similar, with the name after the bomb and the radiation and making the animals anthro. It's for something somewhat familiar to both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the specific after the bomb scenario in just a moment.
Hopefully nothing like Death Claws, I hope.
Yeah. But first things first, we're going to head over to watch some YouTube. And so this is going to be our first primer into the overview of the world of TMNT and After the Bomb. And so...
Alright, take away, Brain Miser.
This comes from Zygmunt Hotep, 12.3k subscribers on YouTube.
Why hello there. In my last video, we Let's Made Us a character for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. And in my next video, I'll be taking a more in-depth look at After the Bomb. So I figured that in between those two, I would take some time to talk about how the one mutated into the other. And I figured I might as well just cover the entire series while I'm at it. So our story begins in September of 1985 with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, a 112-page book which contained most of a role-playing game.
Partial skill system, full combat system.
That additional, or in some cases required information can be found in Heroes Unlimited. But it did have full rules for creating mutant animal characters with 76 mechanically distinct animal options, 4 adventures and a moderate supply of equipment and NPCs. Also, an 8-page Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic. And I did a whole video on this one, so watch that if you want more information. Also, I'm just going to be referring to this as TMNT from now on, because I don't want to have to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness over and over and over again.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles
that's
and
what
Other
I'm doing.
Strangeness.
1986. And
Teenage
release
Mutant
of
Ninja
the
Turtles and
first
Other
book in the
Strangeness.
second series we're talking about here,
Yeah.
After the Bomb, which was a 48-page post-apocalyptic campaign setting for TMNT. As such, it concerned itself primarily with the peoples, places, and events of the northeastern coast of the United States in the aftermath of a nuclear war. It provided a large amount of settings and NPCs, new character backgrounds, 6 adventures, and introduces mutant insects into the mix, but not as playable species. Then June 1986 brought
Yeah, I
us
did better
Teenage
than them.
Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, a 48-page collection of 4 short and 1 longer adventures, plus new rules for super-powered mutant animal characters. Although that section is pretty much just referring you to Heroes Unlimited and not actual content. Also, there was a 10-page Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic. And in October of 1986, we got Roadhogs, which is part of the After the Bomb product line, but is branded as a TMNT supplement, but also compatible with Heroes Unlimited. They were really pushing Heroes Unlimited. It is a 48-page book containing setting information which expands the After the Bomb setting to include the west coast of the United States, new character backgrounds,
After the Bomb,
and
West
finally
Coast.
expanding the animal selection with 22 new
After the
options,
Bomb, West
finally
Coast.
including some
Pretty much all
aquatic
right, Tracy.
ones.
Tracy
Plus a
Getty thinks
focus
it's over
on
there is
vehicle
already
and
full as it
vehicular
is.
combat rules. It is basically the Mad Max Car Wars expansion for this game. It also has 4 adventures and
Who needs
a
Mad Max when you
9-page
have
comic,
Florida?
which
They do that
was
all the
unique
time
to
down
the
there.
setting, but
You
still
Ryan
related
Immortal,
to the Turtles.
shiny and tentacled.
Which brings us to 1987
Domino!
and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Guide to the Universe, a 48-page book containing rules and related skills for air and spacecraft, as well as detailing various alien races from the comics. It also included 4 adventures and a 10-page Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic. 1987 also brought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, which is notable because in a 2007 interview on the Space Station Liberty podcast, an episode which for some reason has been removed, Kevin Simbita commented on the popularity of this much more kid-friendly version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stating, "No self-respecting teenager, even if he thought the Turtles were cool, or thought the Ninja Turtle game was cool, was going to be caught dead playing it. So our sales plummeted from 50,000 copies in a year to 12,000, and the next year that dropped to 6,000.
Ouch.
Which could be why in
Ooh,
June 1988,
that's
Mutants Down
that's
Under was
bad.
released with much less prominent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle branding, simply just stating it to be compatible with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And of course, Heroes Unlimited, which at this point
there it is.
actually did contain the mutant animal character rules from the core book, albeit with a much more limited selection. Mutants Down Under is a 48-page book that expands the After the Bomb setting to post-apocalyptic Australia with all the relevant peoples, places, etc., and contains new backgrounds,
I'm fairly
29
sure
new
Australia wouldn't need
Australian
to change.
animal options,
I mean, they already
new
have spiders
skills
as big
and
as
psionic
houses over there.
abilities, plus
I mean,
giant
you have to
insects,
include
rules for
Australia
airships,
on its
and
own,
4
mutant
adventures.
animals, because
You can
that's
fiddle
basically
on
what
second
Australia
book
is
when you
all
don't use
about.
up 10 pages on a comic.
Yeah,
1988
fair.
was also
Just
the
like
year
I'm
that saw
fairly
the
sure that
revised
any
edition of the
Australian
core
would see this
rulebook,
as
which
just like an ordinary
pretty much just
Tuesday.
removed some objectionable content that they had been getting complaints about. But on to April 1989, which saw the release of Trans-Dimensional Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, an ambitious 112-page supplement covering time and dimension travel, including things like alternate timelines. It included new backgrounds, 21 new prehistoric
Oh, look at that!
animal
Pokemon
options,
Scarlet and Violet
dinosaurs,
was
and
predicted
prehistoric
way
mammals,
earlier than we
but
thought.
also now options
Oh,
for
yeah.
mutant humans and other
Yeah,
hominids,
yeah,
which
you get it?
got
You
a
get
little
it?
weird
Yep.
because to get mutant abilities,
Dinosaurs in
you
the
had
past,
to
robots in the
more
future,
human
because, yeah, that's
characteristics for
what
violent
we're
points,
expecting
and
all around.
that got weird. There was also time travel
Yes,
related and
incredibly weird.
historical skills and equipment, And
You don't just want to be one of those
and also,
gray aliens
wizard
who
magic,
is
for some reason, I guess
accused
there's
of
wizards in the past. Then in
abducting
November
people from the
1989,
American South
Truck
all
and
the
Turtles
time.
was released, a 48-page
Oh
supplement
yeah, I've
with
heard a
6
lot of those
connected
different
adventures,
and
and
sorts of like
not really
rumors
much
and
else to
urban
say about
legends
that
and stuff.
So
stuff,
into the 1990s,
like,
and a slew
including
of
the
new products
probing.
starting in March 1990 with Turtles Go Hollywood, another 48-page book with 6 connected adventures, and in July 1990, Mutants of the Yucatan, which
Well, of course, you just
notably
need
is
storybooks
branded
at this
as
point.
After the Bomb Book 4 rather
Yeah.
than as a TMNT supplement, and is just promoted as being compatible with Heroes Unlimited, Ninjas and Super Spies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Rifts. Another 48-page supplement, this time expanding the After the Bomb setting to the Yucatan Peninsula. It includes new backgrounds, 25 new animal options, including 4 kinds of bat, some new skills, and all of the relevant persons, places, organizations, etc. of this new region. 1990 also saw the release of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG Accessory Pack, which was the last product to feature the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle branding. It contained an Adventures in the Yucatan book with 2 adventures, as there were none in the actual book, as well as game shields for After the Bomb and TMNT.
This is, would you look at this thing right here? I mean, it looks like one of those Maurice Sendak books.
My God, you're right.
You know, you wouldn't expect it to actually have anything to do with TMNT if you just looked at it.
Including
Yeah, if
a
I just
full
looked at
list
it
of
without
animal
any
options
context,
from
I would
all of
think
the books,
does
including
this
the
have
at the
all
time
the
not yet
concept
released
sketches for
Mutants
Arthur?
of Avalon. So, January 1991,
And I say, hey,
Mutants of Avalon,
what a mutant
keeping the
animal
After
kind
the
of
Bomb
day.
brand
Kind
being
of
book
day.
5 and completely removing any TMNT references from the cover, but still stating compatibility within.
DW
An 80-page
absolutely
supplement
deserved the
bringing
punch to the
After the
face.
Bomb to a post-apocalyptic Britain with all the relevant places, people, etc. It contains new backgrounds with an additional
We went back to
social ranking
Christianity.
system,
We did
17
Christianity
new animal
again.
options. It says 18,
Oh boy,
but I
it's the
only count
British.
17, and very much not the ones
Bit
listed
rough
on the game
apocalypse,
shield.
eh,
Maybe
bro?
it wasn't the greatest idea to publish a list of content from an unfinished book. There's also new options for giant riding insects, and more importantly, giant snails and slugs. And also, druidic magic, because they already had wizard magic, so why not? Also, 5 adventures. But now onto January 1992 and the 5th printing of After the Bomb, which, like the previous 2 books, has now dropped the TMNT branding from the cover, rebranding it simply as After the Bomb, Book 1. But it is otherwise the same. Which brings us to
Only
March
separating the game
1992
system from
and
the
Mutants
license.
in Orbit, which is branded simply as
Yeah.
an adventure and source book for After the Bomb and Rifts. And I think it's worth noting at this point, After the Bomb does not have a core rulebook. It is only a series of supplements with listed compatibility with TMNT, Heroes Unlimited, Ninjas and Super Spies, and Rifts. But I digress. Mutants
I mean,
Orbit
that's what
is
you
a
get when you're trying to
112
make
page book
a
expanding the
universal
After the
game
Bomb
system.
setting out to space, with
Yeah,
orbital
sometimes it just
colonies
be
and
like
all
that.
the way out to Mars, with information on various technologies, space stations, life in space, etc. It includes new space backgrounds and skills, a system for random mutations that give additional powers, and actually includes the abilities instead of just referring you to Heroes Unlimited, and most importantly, finally adds rules for mutant insects with 7 options, bringing the grand total up to 199. If only they had actually had 18 in Mutants of Avalon. Also, a lot of the content here is basically doubled, providing things for TMNT, Heroes Unlimited, etc., and then again for Rifts, so depending on the system that you're using, a large amount of the book is not going to be useful for you. Anyway, then nothing happened for 9 years, but in December 2001 we got After the Bomb, 2nd edition, which is a complete role-playing game. Well, as complete as the original TMNT book at least. After the Bomb is now a 224-page book. Gone is any brand.
I mean, we just have to reprint the
mutant
content in the
turtles of
original
a
book so
teenage
somebody
variety
can have an
because
onboarding point.
they didn't have the license anymore,
Yeah.
and if you look at the way things were going, they had kind of been distancing After the Bomb from the TMNT branding for a while. The backstory was updated with a strong focus on genetic engineering, and in particular a manufactured virus that caused all these spontaneous humanoid mutations in animals. So, surprisingly, they actually did update it to try and make it more relevant with modern technology.
It's
Now,
the CRISPR.
they could have included
The
all
CRISPR.
199
Always
animal
CRISPR.
options from the previous books.
Toto, we must run
Of
from the
course they didn't do
CRISPR.
that. What they do have is most of the animal species from
But the
TMNT,
chemicals
with the
were they're
notable
making all the
absence
frogs
of
humanoid.
The aardvark, baboon,
The
gorilla,
CRISPR.
orangutan,
Drop the
cheetah,
house on the Wicked
tiger,
Witch of the West
hippopotamus,
Sister.
and rhinoceros. Despite cheetahs and rhinoceroses being referenced, the inclusion of a tiger NPC, and the detailing of an entire population of purebred mutant baboons being included in the setting description. However, several species have also been expanded with one more kind of bear, variant stats for hawks and eagles, and also turtles and snapping turtles, as well as a very large expansion to dog breeds, full variable stats for 38 breeds of dog, which is, a sizable addition. Also being brought back for Mutants of Avalon, they've included seagulls and geese, as well as the human mutants
Oh god,
from
those would be the most
Transdimensional
terrifying
TMNT,
characters to run into
and
in this
Chipmunk
kind of
was
setting.
added as its own
I mean,
entity.
other
It
than
was
the
previously
aforementioned
just
human
listed
mutants.
as a kind of squirrel without unique stats, so
Yeah, but then
one
again,
new
like,
standard animal type.
like a seagull
However,
will
the big thing that they
absolutely
added
fight
was
to God
purebred
over half a
mutants, which are a
bagel.
very specific
I guess I'd have to
breed
peck
of
eyes
mutant
out, man.
animal. Throwbacks, which are either intentionally resurrected extinct species or ones who have had their dormant genes reactivated by mutation, and chimeras, which are intentionally crossbred animals like spider goats, a thing that actually exists. The difference with these is that they start with and are often limited
all
in their
those
mutations.
familiar
just for
spider
example,
goat
the purebred Jack
colloquialisms.
Russell starts with full human hands, bipedal
I'm willing to
stance,
bet that is the
speech,
same
and
sort of
looks,
reasoning
so
that
they
the
basically just kind of look
with
like
the
a little
wizard
dude,
who
whereas
decided
the
to make
throwback
owl
passenger
bears for
pigeons
some
have
reason.
partial speech but are otherwise just regular birds, with all of these examples also gaining some automatic abilities, but also not being able to sell or spend BioE points for human attributes, only on size and psionics. So overall, like, 97 options, counting dog breeds as one option. Although they do provide a full list for rolling up any of the species, excluding most of the ones I mentioned as not being included, referring you to whichever After the Bomb book contains them, or to Heroes Unlimited in the case of the tiger, because of the absent
again.
species, that's the only one that appears in the limited selection in Heroes Unlimited, and I kind of feel like it just wasn't included here so that they could refer you to Heroes Unlimited.
We don't get
This doesn't
tigers
really work
because
out
we want you
quite
to
that
read
well,
Heroes.
despite what they claim, because the previous books
Just said you
actually
not
aren't
choose
that
tigers.
compatible with After the Bomb. Just for an example, let us look at the Humble Squirrel. In TMNT, a squirrel's size is 1, in After the Bomb it is 3. In both, they get 80 BioE points. In TMNT, they get +1 to their physical prowess and +4 to speed. In After the Bomb, they get +2 to physical prowess and +6 to speed. In TMNT, they can have climbing claws that deal 1d4 damage. In After the Bomb, they can have sharp nails that deal 1d6 damage, and or climbing claws that deal 2d4 damage. In both games, they have access to advanced hearing and gliding if they are a flying squirrel, but in After the Bomb, they also automatically get advanced vision and have the option of 10 additional abilities, plus 3 disadvantages that they can take for extra BioE points. So even if you have
with
the
a
old
gun.
books, you're either going to have to accept that those animals will be weaker and have less options, or go through all the trouble of updating them for the new game. In addition to the expanded animal
Well, I
powers and
mean,
new disadvantages,
that's probably what you would
the
do if you
skills,
wanted those
psionics,
options,
and
isn't it?
combat have also been expanded and or
I mean,
updated
you would
with
think,
the
right?
notable addition of having a hand-to-hand fighting style
I mean,
for
besides, it's stopping me
quadruped
from just, like,
characters.
giving
Although
my
the thing
squirrel
here is that this
a
book does very
handgun.
much feel more so updated than it
Although that's
does
probably
new.
basically what I did for
Like,
my
large
creative
sections of
character.
text are just copied from the TMNT or After the Bomb books.
Yeah, I put some more
So,
complexity
it
into
very much
mine.
feels like a collection of content from the 1980s and 1990s just republished with some minor updates instead of like a new version of the game for 2001. And that's pretty much the end of the story. I honestly doubt we'll be seeing another edition of After the Bomb, considering that Palladium can just keep selling the old books now without having to reprint them. However, I will be coming back to After the Bomb with a full review of the second edition, revised edition, whatever it is, so keep an eye out for that, and thank you for watching.
Alright, so there's a breakdown from Zygmunt Hotep. Where do we start with this one?
Most likely, what I think we should start with is like when they were starting like separate from the TMNT franchise.
Mm-hmm. And so eventually that was necessary because, you know, they were pulling farther and farther away. And after having read that initial press release, we can say that this gentleman over here, Kevin Siembita, was the person who was probably the most negative about the progression of TMNT as a franchise and how it might have possibly hurt the sales of the tabletop game.
Yeah, like claiming that the more like a kid friendly like TV show is negatively affecting everything, and they're getting pretty cynical about it. But little
Mm.
did they know in the future, her full grown adults would watch kids cartoons with zero shame.
Not to mention the fact that after so many years, we're actually just getting back to making a new version of the tabletop game, but the license will be attached to it.
Yep, exactly.
Um, so, I do have to commend, Palladium as a whole because they were really working the front of cross compatibility when it comes to all their products.
I'll
Um,
say it's pretty impressive.
yeah, I mean, simply the fact that every book tends to work with the other one, even though, the main book wasn't actually TMNT, but it was the Heroes Unlimited system. It was a Heroes Unlimited system for a long period of time, and then it just became Rifts.
Yep, pretty much constant evolution and mutations.
I mean, I remember when I was growing up, I played a little bit of the Hero system. Then I moved to Denver, and I got together with our mutual friend, Joe, who plays Autodoc Blue 32, and he was actually using the original Rifts books for that RPG.
Oh, cool.
And we were building superheroes, so yeah, we didn't even, need the smaller list of potentials in the hero system. We just went straight on to doing all of that in Rifts.
Sounds very efficient.
Yeah, as I think so anyway. So, as was also mentioned, is that the great majority of Palladium books are pretty much frozen in their most recent editions and placed onto uh, drivethrurpg.com, which is actually where I got my copy of After the Bomb, which we're going to be looking at slightly after all of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but first we're going to go ahead. We're going to look at another TMNT RPG interview. This is between Ted Sikora of Nerd Immersion interviewing Sean Robertson and Kevin Siembieda. Once again, the founder of Palladium and one of the more prolific game designers. And they're going to be talking about, well, effectively how all is forgiven, and they're looking forward to publishing the upcoming TMNT book.
What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I have a very special interview for you today. Something that really just kind of manifested itself out of a video about a really awesome Kickstarter. But yeah, I'm here to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG. And I have two wonderful gentlemen here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, who are basically the ones making this even be possible. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Kevin Siembieda. I'm the founder and publisher of Palladium Books. I'm also the company's chief game designer. And we published TMNT back in 1985, and we're doing it again.
Yep. And I'm Sean Owen Robertson. I'm Kevin's business partner. I've been working in the industry on a few different things, and one of the first things that I wanted to do when I joined Kevin at Palladium was we started talking about bringing this back and
I
making
don't
it.
know about you, but
It's been a
these
couple of years,
interviews
but
give me
we've
life
gotten
because,
all sorts
I'm
of
almost
movement, and
exactly
so
like these people.
Yeah, it really helps you connect with people that you might see as like larger life. They see him as someone like more relatable.
Mhm. Shucks.
Ah,
See, that thing glitched.
For you today.
yeah, yep.
Let's skip ahead a
Lord.
little bit.
and really excited to do the Titan Robotics Kickstarter last year
Mm-hmm.
and deliver that, and then and also write that,
Titan
tackle that book
Robotics, another
a little
Palladium
bit deeper,
campaign.
and do a lot of art
Yep.
direction on that as well. And now we've been scheming behind the scenes for 9 months to make this Kickstarter happen. So we're almost 10 months. Yeah, we're really happy to be able to announce it October 13th and immediately hit the Kickstarter October 31st. So
Yeah, no, and I mean it's obviously still going as of the time of this recording. So if you haven't, I'll have links in the description if people want to go check it out because it's definitely it is. I mean, again, we talked a little bit beforehand. If you would tell me in 2023 that I'd be seeing an update to a 1985 book that for most people, even being in the RPG scene, there's a ton of people who still weren't even aware that this was an RPG. And now it's
Oh my
getting
god, this was an
updates
RPG?
and new content and
Wait a minute,
rules
my role
tweaks,
playing game was a
and
role
then
playing game?
to see it
I mean,
taken
how
Absurd!
is it
from
possible that,
a source
we
book
made this
and bring
entire
them all
show
together into
about an
TMNT?
RPG
Because I
without
remember in one of
realizing
my
that the
original
RPG
videos, I was
even
talking how
existed?
excited I was about the different concepts and things that I like, and
Yeah, how in the
Trucking
world?
Turtles and Turtles in Hollywood and all these adventures that I liked, and I was like, oh, and I was speculating what would happen, and then to see literally everything I listed that I wanted show up in this Kickstarter is phenomenal. Yeah.
and when we try to listen to the fans, people have been that's the number one thing we get asked about. I was getting asked about that before I ever joined Palladium.
Mhm.
As you notice that in the
Trying to on the
background,
adventure
they
side of it.
have the
And
original
so
cover to
Kevin and
TMNT
I really wanted to
in
Oh
a
my
collaborate
god,
picture
you're right,
frame.
it
and also
is!
do something special and new with full color art,
Also, the other guy has
Sure.
quite a few
top-notch
swords over there.
remaster it,
I mean, you can't
updates
mistake
right
Shredder
also
and
we're
Casey
updating
Jones on the cover.
the
That's
gear, we're up to modern
Yeah,
equipment.
essentially.
We're adding some new mutant animals that have never before seen in any of our games. I'm doing a lot of edits and tweaks and clarifications,
Mhm.
updating some of the game terms in the books, because it's things change over 40 years,
Sure, of
and
course.
so some of the terms have become, some of the parlance has shifted a little bit, and that helps it keep it clear and fresh for all fans old and new.
And part of it, Ted, is we ourselves are fans of the Ninja Turtles and, of course, of
Yes.
role playing. So we, as gamers ourselves, we know what fans want. So when we were putting this together, we're thinking, oh man, what would make me go wild? And it's
Mhm.
like, oh, got to get gorgeous miniatures.
Sure.
Want to have beautiful color art. Hey, what if we can
you want
get,
to have different
really
colors
good
of dice,
quality wall
and on
drawings
top
of
of more different
beautiful
colors of
characters,
dice.
especially TMNT creators,
Ah, yes, the clicky
above and beyond
clacky
Kevin
rocks.
and Peter.
My
Mhm.
precious.
And
And
what do
and
you
a,
think?
a
Should we do
completely black
that
book
should
that
be
still not
tribute
nevertheless
full
looks really
color?
good in a black
Full
light.
color tribute arts by
Yeah.
pieces by all
I
these
still
different
got the regular cover
well-known RPG and
Ah.
TMNT
because
comic
I'm a stick in the mud.
artists, as well
In
as
addition to being the
tributes
oldest RPG
and
player
hidden
ever.
tributes,
Mhm.
behind the scenes
Yeah.
stuff people have never seen before.
Yeah.
It's really
Essentially.
exciting, and we wanted to make sure we could bring back all the books. So there's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book that isn't coming back.
Sure.
So the first book is, it's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, the Redux edition,
Mhm.
but it has the original RPG plus Turtles Go Hollywood and Truckin' Turtles, as you just mentioned, two
Mhm.
great adventure modules, and they're each 48 pages. So this is and the main book also has a lot of adventure material. So you're getting
Sure.
a ton of adventure content in that first book, and then the second book, we're calling it Transdimensional Adventures because it combines the classic transdimensional TMNT book with rules for time travel, magic, all that kind of stuff, And Mutant Dinosaurs
Sure.
with TMNT Adventures. That's the most popular adventure supplement
Essentially,
and
a
guide to the
vintage
universe, which
Pokemon
includes
Scarlet and
vehicle
Violet.
rules,
Okay, so first we get regular Ninja Turtles, then we get
lots of aliens and
Transdimensions,
stuff for people that are familiar with like the Triceratops.
and eventually
Yes,
we're
it seems
going to
like that
get
is
and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So,
possibly space.
that's we're
I
super
think we
excited
already
to be
went
able
through
to do
that.
all
yes,
of that as well, and
yeah, pretty
negotiate
much like the
all
Guide to
cool
the
stuff on
Universe.
top of that with our licensors.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 miniature sets, a villain and a hero's miniature set.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Oh my god.
They're in progress. We're shipping more off as we can. A lot of it's coming through the approvals now, which is really great.
Never mind all the writing we did for this book. We've got really good looking miniatures.
Sure.
There's a lot of eyes that have to take a look at everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's good to go.
Pretty cool
And that's
looking.
great because it's good for the legacy of the TMNT and the fans, everybody involved. And then we also have Dice. We're working with Fanroll.
Fanroll's fantastic company.
Some beautiful dice sets, yes, and they're great people.
Sure, definitely.
All the way around, everyone's been really great to work with.
Of course, they're great to work with because they're tabletop people.
Resin dice.
They
Yep,
they want
are
to
tabletop people.
they want to get to play the game at the end, just like all of us do.
Bag with the turtles art on it.
Yeah, my idea, that's the kind of person that you want making stuff. Like someone who's just as excited and interested in the sort of things that they're making.
Looks really cool, and you can attach.
You can tell that it's being made with pure passion.
Well, or not just a 3D printer.
Carrying case mat that looks like an old TCRI mutagen, container.
There's so clearly so much fandom put into all of these little aspects, because it would have been easy to just throw a dice set, maybe a rolling tray, but the fact that everything is so particular and tied to the different aspects of the history of the turtles and the colorations of everything, it just it goes to show that these are obviously fans making things for fans with this Kickstarter, and that's really, I mean, what more could you ask for?
All right, so going slightly back over here, let's take a look at that roll-up mat again.
Yep. Meanwhile,
doesn't matter to me because I only got the book goal, but So I think we were in the middle of playing Shredder's Revenge when I told you about the significance of TCRI, right?
oh yeah, I believe that's right.
Mm-hmm. So the very early original comic book version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was just a great big parody of Daredevil. And so there is a distinct panel.
Much one big parody of Daredevil, with Hell's Kitchen and a parody of the Hand Ninja Clan from Daredevil as the Foot Clan.
Also, instead of having Stick, we have Splinter.
Yeah, pretty much, which would probably be on a stick.
Mm-hmm. But the significance of TCRI is that there's a single panel of the Daredevil comic where Daredevil has a canister of toxic waste thrown at him, and that's what gives him his echolocation powers. But that canister was marked.
It does make him go blind.
Mm-hmm. And that canister was marked TGRI. But in Turtles canon, it got turned into TCRI, but it was effectively supposed to be the exact same canister. So it's really
yes, I believe it was also called something like mutagen in their universe, right?
Yeah, and so the canister that hit Daredevil and I and gave him his superpowers then rolled into the sewer and created the Ninja Turtles. That's canon for you.
Yep, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the greatest things come from parody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just an affectionate love of the material, which we'll probably be getting more into.
Yeah, like lovingly making fun of a material that you love. Like, it's kind of like how you jokingly insult your friends, knowing that you both like all of you this is our kind of comedy. You would just kind of playfully insult each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they can evolve into something like this. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Or something like this show, for that matter.
Yeah, essentially.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna do our last YouTube video. This is once again from Zygmunt Hotep. This is how to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness character. And so it's important to, just look at different forms of ways that RPG systems use to make characters, because, there's just kind of a more general sense of things that you can do when it comes to how to handle that creation. And in this situation, I'm really happy to present this because what Palladium is effectively showing us is the ability in order to compose a character mostly out of random dice stat rolls. The majority of these stat rolls are going to be 3d6, as you're going to see from the video.
Yep. Mainly
Hello,
the classic
and
sort of
welcome
die.
back to Let's Make Us a Character.
Let's
In this
make us
episode,
a
we'll be
character.
making a totally tubular
make us
mutant
a
animal
character.
for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness from 1985 and based on the popular comic book, as this was 2 years before the animated series. So let's make us a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness character. We start by rolling up our attributes with 3d6 each, starting with Intelligence Quotient, and if we roll a 16 or higher, we get to add an additional d6.
I only
I
got a
ran out of
14.
d6, but a d8 should work fine unless I roll an 8. Or a 7. Okay. Then we have Mental Endurance, Mental Affinity, Physical Strength, Physical Prowess, Physical Endurance, Physical Beauty, and Speed. And now for the exciting part. We get to find out what kind of mutant
Just
animal
slowly
our
running
character
out of
will be.
d6s towards the end of
we
all
roll
that.
for an animal category, which is urban, and a specific animal, which is frog. Then we determine how we got mutated, an accidental encounter, and our education, which is gained from skulking around the fringes of society. Alright, now with all the rolling out of the way, I'm just kidding, there is plenty more rolling to come. But let's look at our
boy.
character.
I
We
thought
get
you
a
were saying,
+1
oh,
bonus
no,
to our
not
physical
again.
prowess from our background, and an additional +1 to our physical prowess, and +2 to speed from being a frog. Our species also sets our starting size, which is 2, which gives us a number of adjustments to our attributes. So at this point, this is our character. Basically just a
It's
regular
Wednesday,
frog,
my dudes.
albeit one with an IQ of 140, and none of a frog's natural abilities. So to fix that, we are given biological energy, or bio-E points, the number of which is set by our species. Generally, the weaker the base animal, the more bio-E points you get. So an elephant gets 0, a mountain lion gets 40, and a frog gets 80. We can spend 5 points per growth step to increase our size, so let's spend 15 points to increase our size up to 5 to get rid of most of those penalties. Our size also sets our structural damage capacity, which is kind of like hit points that
from
go
all those
on top
chemicals
of
that
our
are cutting in
regular
the
hit
water and make the
points.
frogs gay.
And sets
Hey,
the
but
base
instead,
and
it accidentally
variables
turned
for our
this
height
guy
and weight.
into a humanoid.
We also have the option to buy
Humanoid
human
mutant.
attributes in the form of full or partial hands,
You get the
bipedal
joke?
stance,
And the
speech,
other fries in the
human
pond
looks.
really don't make
Basically,
any kind
a
of judgments
character
when
can
it
be
comes
anything
to
from an
making the
intelligent
frogs gay.
animal to a human with
Yeah.
animal-like characteristics, as this illustration conveniently, well, illustrates. So let's buy full hands, bipedal stance, and speech for 10 points each, which makes our character more like this, and leaves us with just enough points to buy all of our froggy abilities. Night vision, swimming, leaping, and hold breath, which lets us hold our breath for 2d6 plus 6 minutes. Characters with a mental endurance score of 12 or higher also have the option to buy psionic abilities, but we don't, so we can't. But now on to skills, where things get a little tricky. Our frog swimming ability gives us the advanced swimming skill, I think, which gives a 50% base percentage with a plus 8% per level, presumably per level after first. It doesn't actually say that anywhere, but that's what makes sense, so that's what I'm going with. Now, an interesting thing here is that most of the physical skills also give bonuses to our physical attributes and combat abilities. In this case, a +1 to physical strength and endurance, 1d6 to SDC, 3d4 to speed while swimming, and a bonus to dodge and parry while in water. Our background also gives us the prowl skill with a plus 12% bonus, once again, I think, basic hand-to-hand combat, which gives us various things I'll get to later, and 14 skills of our choosing. So let's take acrobatics, which gives various skills, including a plus 10% to prowl if we already have it, and the ability to jump 4 feet plus 2 feet per level, which is important because our leaping ability doubles that. Then let's take athletics, boxing, gymnastics, which actually has a lot of skill overlap with acrobatics, in which case the highest bonus applies, and running. Then we'll take weapon proficiency chain and hand-to-hand martial arts, which counts as 3 skills, although supposedly there are rules for upgrading your existing hand-to-hand to martial arts. They're mentioned, but can't be found, and I'll get to all of that later. And for our remaining skills,
I mean, what he's
computer
reacting to
operations,
is the
electronics,
fact that, you know, some of this
steam
material
arts,
isn't
and
actually in the
wilderness
book.
survival.
Where do we have it
Now,
instead?
yeah,
our
that's
skill
right.
bonuses
We
give
have
us
it in the hero
1d4
system.
plus 5 to our physical strength,
Which
2d4
is
to our physical
somewhere.
prowess, 4
Mhm.
to our physical endurance, 5d4 to our speed, plus an additional 3d4 in water, and 9d6 plus 1d8 to our SDC, and assorted combat bonuses, which I will get to later. And now that our attributes are all adjusted, let's take a look at them. Each attribute that is over 15 provides some sort of bonus, so our intelligence quotient of 20 gives us a plus 7 bonus to all skills. Mental endurance would give us a bonus to saves versus psionics if over 15, but has no other effect. Mental affinity would give us a bonus to invoke trust or intimidation if over 15, but has no other effect. Our physical strength of 17
Oh
gives
boy,
us a
here
plus
comes
2
that
damage
frog.
bonus on melee attacks and sets how much we can
Here comes
lift
that
and carry.
boy.
Also,
I
our
mean,
swim
nobody ever
speed,
says, "Here comes that
not
frog," in an
speed,
intimidated
which
manner.
the swim skill gives a bonus to. Our physical prowess
Yeah,
of 19
usually they
gives
say,
us
"Oh
a
shit,
plus
what
2
up?"
bonus to dodge, parry, and strike, but has no other effect. Our physical endurance of 17 gives us a plus 7% or plus 2 bonus to saves versus coma, death, and toxins, is used for calculating a number of endurance-based things, and sets our starting hit points equal to our physical endurance plus 1d6. Physical beauty would give us a bonus to charm and impress if over 15, but has no other effect. And our speed of 30 gives us a plus 4 bonus to dodge, and of course while in water we have an effective speed of 36, so in that case it is a plus 6 bonus.
Do
And sets our
you find frogs in any particular way to be adorable? I mean, maybe a drawing of a frog
No.
more than an actual frog?
No, I just think frogs are just like not really like that much cute. It's more like odd. Like some of them have teeth, and some of them break their own bones to use them as weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more unsettling.
Yeah.
movement speed. So out of 8 attributes, only 3 actually
I mean,
have
if you
any
had a
mechanical
frog
effect on
and
your
you just
character
intentionally
unless they
created
are
the frog
over
to have a lot
15.
of bonus points in
Or
charisma,
rather, if they do have some function, I
then
can't
you just have the
tell.
Maybe it's
hypnotone.
just like
But now let's
Wednesday
move
my
on to
dudes
combat,
meme.
which instead of
An average amount would make him
percentile
Kermit the
system used
Frog.
in the rest of the game uses a D20
Hey everybody,
based
Kermit
system.
the Mutant here.
We get 2 attacks per melee. Our assorted skills give us a plus 3 bonus to dodge with an extra plus 2 in water, a plus 3 to parry with an extra plus 1 in water, and a plus 7 bonus to roll with punches.
This is one
Our
agile
boxing
frog.
skill also lets us knock out opponents for
Yeah,
1d6
but
on a natural
I'm not sure
20,
what those
which is
flippers are
good
supposed to
because
do in
the
case of
standard
physical
knockout
attacks.
rules
Like
aren't really
what, like
explained.
lightly
Characters have
smack?
basic punch and kick attacks that deal 1d4 damage. Our attacks with chain weapons get a plus 1 bonus to strike from our weapon proficiency skill and deal 1d8 damage. And we get a tackle attack that deals 1d4 damage with a plus 1 strike bonus from our athletics skill. At level 1, our martial arts skill gives us another plus 3 bonus to parry and dodge, and also gives us automatic parry, pull punch, roll with punch, a kick attack that deals 1d8 damage, jump kick, knockout/stun, critical strike, death blow, and leap attack. Of course, it also says that we don't get death blow until level 14, and that our kick attack deals 1d8 damage at level 4, but I guess everything else listed we get at first level. I'm not sure about a lot of things at this point. We also get 3d6.
That's
so
pretty much my
12
mental state, like,
times
most of the time.
$200 of scavenged
I may
equipment.
not know much.
So let's just get a whole
that's just
bunch
it.
of stuff. And because our equipment is scavenged, it costs half the listed price, but is more prone to breaking, except our lockpicks, which are contraband and cost 3 times the listed price. I don't know if those two things stack, so I'm just going to assume not. And this character is done.
Oh my
So
god, they
I
also
guess
put
we
the
might
free
as
real
well
estate
level
meme
up.
in there too.
At level 2, we get an additional 1d6 hit points. All of our skills go up by the indicated value, including our jump distance, and our martial arts skill gives us +2 attacks per melee. At level 3, we get 1d6 hit points, our skills go up, and our martial arts skill gives us +4 to pull and roll with punches. And at level 4, we get 1d6 hit points, our skills go up. Notably at this point, our backflip and prowl skills have maxed out at 99. Our weapon proficiency skill also now gives us an additional +1 bonus to strike with chain weapons, and our martial arts skill ups our kick damage to 1d8. And I guess that was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness character. Honestly, I had to make more than a few assumptions during this process. I mean, I like all the animal and mutation options, but overall this is not a good book. Like, you may have assumed this game uses a roll under percentile system, and I assume that too, because as far as I can find, they never actually explain how skill checks work.
Well, no,
And
because
that's
that's
not
actually in
Yeah,
the
that was
hero
pretty
system,
much
but
the
yeah.
There are a lot.
Yeah, this
of
was pretty much the
overlooked
main
things.
reason
This
why I
book
wasn't
is
really able to make a character
very
sheet.
poorly
I was
written.
pretty
It
much
seems like most
completely
of the text was
confuzzled the
just
entire
copied
time.
and pasted from Heroes Unlimited with very minimal changes, like to the point that they still use Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four as examples of characters. And I'm looking at the revised edition. So just overall, it is a level of quality far below what should be expected at the time from a fairly well-known publisher. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you
Well, I mean, there's probably a good chance that when this actually does get re-released, that it's going to be, more complete and self-stating. If only for the reason that they don't want to embarrass the people that are actually holding the license. Or Kevin Eastman, for that
pretty
matter.
much.
Yeah. All right. So, right just before we get to the character creation section, I
Yeah,
do want to read a
characters.
little bit of the After the Bomb lore. Because,
Alright.
yeah, before long, we're going to have the new books in our hands, and everybody knows what the effective Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle backstory is. If you want to play in the post-apocalyptic section, though, this is effectively what you're going to be role-playing in. Starting at the turn of the 21st century, when humankind had completed the Human Genome Project, the science of genetics progressed in blindingly brilliant steps. Diseases, even cancers and genetic disorders, were tamed one after another, and it even seemed as if mortality itself could be defeated. Positive start. Along with the great advances, there was also only a matter of time before technology of genetics became a consumer product. Just as consumers, once the property of giant corporations and governments, led to home computers, so did biotech laboratories become minimized and marked down. It wasn't long before ordinary citizens could buy gene scan attachments and software for their personal computers, before trading in gene patterns was common on the internet, and before virtual breeding games let everyone experiment with mixing genes and chromosomes from different animals. Wow. They just had that on the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
apparently. I mean, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing you would find on the internet. It's still the internet we're talking about, but it's still...
I mean, self-inflicted genetic roadblocks comes immediately to mind.
Oof.
One of the most dramatic new products was called the Egg, or Embryonic Genome Generator, sold as a make-your-own mutant kit. The first eggs were used to grow transgenic mice. Eggs suitable for growing dogs, cats, and other pets quickly caught on. Within months, people all over the world were experimenting by mixing genes from different animals, and even from humans, which was against the law. But since every human carries a full set of human chromosomes. And that's what happened. A few years into the booming new technology, it suddenly became glaringly obvious that humanity had created another intelligent life on the planet. Not computerized artificial intelligence, animals with sentience, animals that were speaking, reading, writing, and reasoning. If it hadn't been for the crash, sentient animals would probably have become just another class of citizens. After all, what difference would it make? A few tens and thousands of mutant animals compared to the teeming millions of human beings? Yeah, the crash. It probably started in a high school somewhere. Some kid, not quite ready to take that Wednesday afternoon quiz, brought in a test tube full of homebrew that morning. After all, what was the harm?
Oh god, here we go.
And the years leading up to the bio-craze, virtually every known human disease and disability had been cured. There's no reason to fear any mere disease. Bacteria were domesticated creatures. Viruses were tailored to do mankind's bidding. Even pesky autoimmune diseases were disappearing. For a high school kid, the idea of getting seriously ill, much less dying, from something as innocuous as the flu was ridiculous. It didn't seem more dangerous than setting off the smoke detector, letting a skunk loose at the teacher's lounge, or hacking into the school's computer. We're really building this up. Well, it was nothing to really be alarmed about, not at first, but at Strat. It became a fad, an edge thing, a new way of impressing the cool kids. Eventually, after a few dozen incidents, there was one that got serious. The media blew it up, covered it like flies on a sugar bowl, made a huge deal about it, and about the 5 kids who cooked up the virus. People were outraged, politicians screamed, laws were passed. Now this had been a real tragedy. Had someone died or even been chronically ill, that might have been the end of it. Instead, the illness was short-lived, a cure was found within a few hours, and it turned out to be basically nothing. The young people responsible were told never to do it again, while they basked in their 15 minutes of fame. To say the least, the law was ignored. Prankster diseases popped up everywhere. Copycats constantly tried one-upping the experts. It became a race contest, and the winner would be the biohacker who could beat the authorities. Simple human viruses wouldn't really crack the system. Bacteria were too slow, too big, and too clunky. Now, in order to confound the gene doctors to get around the system, a new kind of disease was needed. The thing came about slowly and insidiously, first as a theory promoted on the website, then a few kids got together to work out the structure and the details. It took millions of processing hours, only a couple of weeks with time borrowed from tens of thousands of computers. It was a simple idea. What if a human cell, a cell just like the cells in every human body, was modified into a disease form? After all, every good medicine leaves the human cells alone while it attacks the invaders. Whoever cooked it up was probably one of its first victims. Within a month, over 74% of the human race died. Victims of rampaging genetic change caused by a cell that contained the full set of human chromosomes. Once released, it was unstoppable and billions died. Some animals were affected as well, about 25% of all primates and 10% of mammals, as well as 2% of other creatures showed symptoms of the disease. Of those animals affected, most died, but thirds seemed to mutate as they recovered, gaining human traits. At first, it didn't seem that most surviving animals were unaffected. It wasn't until the next generation, when their offspring were born, that the extent of the plague was completely realized. The manufactured disease, containing the 23 pairs of human chromosomes, was also infecting the offspring of many mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians, as well as a few fresh crustaceans and insects. The bomb.
Oh,
Yeah.
the apocalypse happened for the same reason that I suspect the real apocalypse to possibly happen.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud hunger.
Yeah. Not an addition that somebody's semi-harmless prank originating on the internet.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely 100% sure that this would have started like as an internet trend, like the End Humanity Challenge.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at least they weren't just using it for designer purposes, like in that one episode of Batman.
Yeah.
Perhaps if the crash had happened a few years later, it wouldn't have triggered the following catastrophe. After all, most of the world was at peace, and there was widespread talk of disarmament and dismantling the last remaining nuclear arsenals from the Cold War of the 1950s and 1960s. Instead, when the crash hit, it looked like an act of biological warfare. Few believed that such a devastating plague could be anything other than an intentional attack, and fewer still believed that source of pain could be just a high school prank. Dying in their headquarters, palaces, command centers, and military bases, it seemed that retaliation was the only solution. So, the bomb was dropped. The button was pushed, and thousands of nuclear missiles were targeted on the largest cities in the world. Note that the fall of human civilization and the massive collateral damage is known as the crash, the death, and the big death. Whereas the bomb is really just what wiped out the greater majority of humans. Alright, so something just before I close this document I do want to show off is that every now and then, if you go through the entirety of the After the Bomb manual, you'll still see just some images that are just patently drawn by Kevin Eastman. This is one of them right here.
Yeah, pretty much. It looks
yeah.
pretty cool.
So one or two of these other, well, not those, but certainly some of the things that we saw when we were looking at the previous images, they just were taken directly from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book. So this is a human character, Wilbur, Dr. Vincent the Human. And that's Kevin Eastman art. This is as well, 1 year, the mutant horse.
And oh my god, there's a drawing of a like Weimar or like a wizard thing, and it was just like really funny.
So this rabbit riding on the back of a stag beetle. And so I'm just trying to see if I can zoom by it, because one of these is the exact same image as the mutant humans that we saw in the original book, but I'm already at the end of it, so definitely that mole character. Oh, it was actually drawn by Peter Laird. No, sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. So, they had a significant amount of, original characters in this, characters that, to this day, don't appear anywhere in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lore. Just creates an entire alternate universe of, what could have been as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles continue to ascend to that epsilon of pop culture that it is today. Okay, well.
Yes, indeed.
Well, enough scrolling. It's time to show our created characters at the end of every single episode of TTRPG and Sometimes Why. We look at our source material. We try to create an original character just based on the totality of what we have learned from the system. And so I'm going to go ahead.
Sounds good to me.
I'm going to show...
How about you go first, Springy?
Oh, you want me to go first? I was going to let you go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So,
You can go first this one.
I wanted to do something that evoked some of the original Ninja Turtles action figures. So I was thinking, somebody big chest, tiny little legs, certainly a big head, and a couple of really cool accessories. And after watching the video that we had shown about how to create a character, I got a basic idea of, doing some dice rolls on some D100 tables in order to create what my type of character would be. And so I landed on Nimbat, which is, once again, it's an Australian rodent, and I couldn't find it because I only had the After the Bomb manual. So I just went for the next closest thing, and I chose an opossum. And so this is my opossum character. His name is Roadkill.
I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm. So once again, as I'm trying to incorporate things that I saw in the Ninja Turtles action figure line, he's got a couple of rips in his pants. He has part of the fur on his right arm torn off so that he can display a tattoo that says Mom on it.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
So a couple of big floppy ears, and he's carrying a rifle, and a bear trap is chained to the side of his belt.
That is so cool.
It might be one of those previously mentioned vestigial tail characters. It's more than likely he doesn't use his tail for anything. And so, looking at the character sheet,
probably be a sniper of sorts.
Mm-hmm. And so, in the Turtles animated series, they took a pretty innocuous character from the Turtles lore, Leatherhead, and they made him into a Cajun trapper. Just, I guess, to make him a bit more family friendly. I don't exactly know. But that was a creative choice. In this, I wanted to create a character that was really just kind of more, how can I put this? Engineered to be a trapper. So as he has a military background, is that, he carries a He carries a 50 caliber, which is probably not something that's too suitable for hunting. So he has night vision and leaping as part of his mutant powers. And then he's just really skilled at being a hunter-trapper, the ability to skin animal hides. He drives a Jeep, and the Jeep, of course, going after the action figure modeling, would probably be a Jeep that has like some spring-loaded surface-to-air missiles or something like that. And, well, he's wearing the Aussie bed cap, which I assume is probably indicates that he is a bit more of an Australian accented guy, not necessarily a Cajun guy.
Gives me vibes from the sniper from TF2.
Mm-hmm. And very much a character that you would
like
see.
the body head, wanker.
Mm-hmm. Very much a character you would see going up against the Ninja Turtles in a one-off episode of the CBS series.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. So that's my character.
Oh, I'd love to be the partner of this kind of character.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, it's time for my. Speaking of which, it's time for my character.
You get to carry the dynamite.
Quite literally, in fact, this is my character. She has a very wide array of fake names as her main occupation in this sort of new world is illegal bad substances is a seller and a thief.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just with this character I wanted to take kind of like the opposite as such, and kind of like the play on the not the fact that it was not really made for kids, and sort of like parodies of how some cartoons could get sort of comedically dark and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like with this, I pretty much a few who's the Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman all into one character.
Yeah.
And also I added some parody-like aspects with her, mainly from one of the most infamous supervillains that DC has ever created back in the 70s, which horrifically failed at being what he was supposed to be. A supervillain by the name of Snowflame.
Okay, I thought we were doing hemoglobin, but go on.
Okay. Hey, but essentially, it's not really she gets powers from such illicit drugs, or more she could be really high on some weed, and you'd have no idea. That's pretty much her thing. Is that she really likes weed, and she pretty much spends most of her time robbing people, selling mostly plant-based illicits.
Mm-hmm.
It's and pretty much does things like rigging and cheating, things like card games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much sees the whole humans having rules thing is kind of silly.
Yeah.
Since she was indeed a wild animal, and sees something like that as stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much her main weapons of choice are just a knife and also bombs.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't be too surprising if she were to throw some kind of herbal substance at somebody.
Yeah, she'd pretty much do that too. In fact, one of her methods of robbing people is to give one of her clients some specific kind of shrooms that would make them in a state where she could pretty much just waltz around and take whatever she wants and leave with no consequences.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that you'd given us a name.
Yeah. Her name, like I said, she carries a lot of different fake names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she calls what she mainly calls herself to only people that she really trust. So would be something like Thistle.
Thistle.
Yeah, her name's Thistle.
Okay.
Yeah, Thistle.
So we have Thistle and Roadkill, probably the next generation of TMNT villains here.
Yep, but one of them being the more a brute force brute who the muscle, and the other one is pretty much the more trickstery, manipulative kind of thing with Thistle.
All right. So which one do you like better? Is that I will be posting this on Twitter. We'll be running a week-long poll for those of you at home to determine which one of us did the better character. And I also have to congratulate you for winning episode 2's contest.
Oh, I did?
Sorry about that. Yes, you did. Congratulations. You absolutely
Oh,
uh,
cool.
created the better. Gosh, what was the contest there? That was
The ranger character thing.
yeah, creating the better D&D 5th edition ranger. That's what it was. All right, so
Yep.
this concludes our
Oh,
broadcast
and by the
day.
way, Thistle here is also like a rare, completely black bobcat.
Yeah,
And
does.
yeah, it doesn't really even have like too much of a tail to speak of, so yeah, not really much of a tail to use anyway.
So just a yeah, again, vestigial tail. That's what you would take in the negatives.
Yep, pretty much a literal cat burglar and like illicit plants user.
All right. So this concludes our broadcast day. Thank you everybody once again for tuning in to Bringing the RPG Cat. This has been episode 3 of the TTRPG and Sometimes Why podcast. Thank you very much for joining me, QB.
Oh, we gotta do the bit with the Y.
A bit with the Y? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we've learned a lot of things today. Is that we've learned that apocalypses can occur from all sorts of different reasons, not the least of which could just be potential internet pranks. We learned that a beloved module for a tabletop RPG would also can potentially be incomplete and therefore requires the use of reading the hero system or riffs in order to make it more complete. We learned a lot about the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness re-release. Look at it at your
And
favorite.
so, for whatever reason you play this game and you make yourself a character to play, hey, whether you're a fan of the TMNT or you're furry or you're still a furry anyway, we know what you are, or you can't escape. Hey, sometimes you just have to ask why. Good night, everybody.
There we go. Yeah, very well done. All right. So thank you everybody once again for tuning in. Those of you who are watching us on Twitch, we're going to choose somebody to raid now. Let's see. I think I would like to pay a visit to let's see, Natsuki-chan is on. So is Hidden Town. Oh, you know, OS Devon. OS Devon usually works on this channel as my mod, and he's in the middle of streaming an episode of Cooking
Oh yeah,
Simulator.
definitely. O7 is like really important for both of us.
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pay a visit to him. So, I'm gonna be offline for a short period of time. It's probably just gonna be within the next week. I'm gonna be moving into a new house, and then I'm going to be setting up everything again, and I'm going to be putting new equipment. So,
Yep, good luck with that, Randy.
while I'm done with that, I'm definitely gonna be done, but, you know, I'll probably get back at the end of that. But following that, probably in a period of a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a complete and total reboot of the channel. I'm talking about, you know, new channel art, new logo, and just new show formats, just a greater emphasis on the great tabletop RPG-based content that we're bringing you, including this show right here.
Might even include new ourselves, do TTRPG adventures with the rest of our group, and even new character designs.
Yeah, is that I'm moving to a new house, but we're moving into a completely new paradigm, and we're also moving entirely into the tabletop RPG section of Twitch from this point forward.
Woohoo!
All right, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and head over to OS Devon. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Remember, BRANY means smart. Nothing is too hard if you use your head. Always be the change that you want to see in the world. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you very much for watching.
Good night, everybody.